Almonds. Hi, everyone. I'm Clifford today, and you're not. Today we are joined by We're All Gonna Die by Dawes and the Chariots of Fire soundtrack by Vangelis. Today we are going to be doing an album review of Tyson Motsenbocker's Someday I'll Make It Up to You. This is California-based indie rock folk artist Tyson Motsenbocker's sophomore album after a few EPs and singles and a stellar debut album, Letters to Lost Loves. Now, I'm a huge fan of that album as it is very hard-hitting in its theme. Letters was created during a month-long walk he took from his home in San Diego to the Golden State Bridge in San Francisco while dealing with the loss of his recently deceased mother. As you can imagine, many of the songs have a sense of mourning and have strong emotion in the lyricism. With Someday I'll Make It Up to You, Tyson triggers nostalgia, longing, and a slight tinge of melancholy throughout the record. That being said, there are no vibes of depression in the music really and lyrics, but rather contemplation. And while this album is nostalgic in its lyrics, Tyson doesn't stoop low and try and recreate the music of the past like so many other artists. However, there is something familiar about the music and songwriting in the songs that is comforting. I think that Tyson does nostalgia right in this record. If you're fans of indie rock and folk, singer-songwriter stuff, this is definitely the album for you. The album definitely goes back and forth from being more folky to something a little bit more indie and groovy. It kind of goes all over the record. Starting with track 1, Highline, it starts the album off easy with a nice road trip type feel-good song. I can definitely see footage of watching the highway whiz by if there were ever a music video to this. It really does have that feel of a traveling song, especially as Tyson sings about taking the train from Brooklyn, New York, smiling like a monster in a cage. What I seem to be picking up from the lyrics is Tyson is doing his best to make necessary changes in his life and moving forward. It's got a very catchy sing-along chorus that keeps your head swaying and closing your eyes.
So hold me, keep me coming back. Don't listen when I tell you that I'm not worried. Darkness, is it just an absence? Walk you to the high line, a new day's coming.
It gradually and softly crescendos with some soft horns complementing the train engine-like rhythm with some nice background vocals. Highline is then followed by Sunday Morning, a mellow, much more groovier track even compared to Tyson's whole previous catalog. We got a deep, groovy bass, some mellow electric guitars with some dreamy keys in there. It's one of my favorite sounding songs on the record. Tyson sings some pretty deep cuts on this one, opening up about an experience he had leading worship at a youth camp. The way he describes this whole experience is so accurate and so relatable. I chose all the right songs, played all the right chords, till the kids were still singing, praise the Lord. And the pastor yelled about faith and hell, and I soundtracked his words for effect.
And then we played kickball.
It's such an accurate depiction of a youth service, if you've ever had that experience growing up. Throughout the song, Tyson addresses the very understandable conflict that is caused when Christians are very focused on the emotionalism when experiencing God's presence. Is this really God that I'm feeling? Is this all that our faith is about? Just this dopamine rush we feel while we're worshiping? And is this really any different than those kids that do drugs together?
I realized one day at a church camp, and the pastor was yelling at these kids about repentance, and he was just like, all the kids were really tired because they'd been at camp all week, staying up too late, and everybody was crying, and I couldn't figure out why it felt so wrong to me. And then I went on tour, and we were playing this festival. Main stage was in the gym at this high school, And the locker room of the gym was just all these folding tables, and the tables were all covered with drugs, and everybody was just doing all the drugs. And it was the moment that everybody felt like they were all connected because they were all feeling something at the same time. And I thought to myself, like, this feels like the same thing that we do at church camp. And isn't one of them supposed to be God? And one of them is supposed to just be drugs? And I thought to myself that it feels like if one of them is God, it should be a lot different than the other one.
It's some very honest questions that this song raises, and I respect it for it. In the next track, Come to California, Tyson transitions from deep and existential themes to a simple ode to his current home. Having been raised in Washington and only recently been living in California for a handful of years as of now, Tyson paints the slight feeling of anxiety when moving into such a big, different world with a carefree and whimsical brush. The song has got a very folky, road trip-ish feel to it with some constant acoustic guitars and dreamy I can't talk today. It's all these almonds in my mouth. Curse you, almonds! Constant acoustic guitars and dreamy background vocals. Laying down the drums on the track is actually Griffin Goldsmith from LA-based group Dawes, which is an unexpected but very welcome crossover, as Dawes is one of my all-time favorite bands. It's just very cool to hear a little meetup between the indie Christian scene and the more mainstream alternative indie scene. Not really a whole lot to say about the next track, Autumn Love. In terms of lyrical themes, it's kind of your basic, feel-good indie song that's very pleasing to the ears and easy to sing along to. Except for the beautiful production, there's not a whole lot of meat to it. Not to say that it's a bad song at all. In probably my favorite track and the lead single off this album, Tyson sings of nostalgia and the passing of time in the last summer. Listening to this song, it really gives me the feeling you get where it's still summer and yet it's coming to its end and fall is just around the corner. And in no other song has that feeling ever been as strong as it is in the last summer. School is just around the corner. For many people, college. A lot of people are leaving, some of them to study abroad. It's just such a bittersweet time and feeling that is very heavy in this song. Tyson exemplifies this theme of the passing of time by using a lot of cultural and historical references like the sixth moon landing, General Custer's last stand, MySpace, and the last Blockbuster closing.
There's all these little specific moments that are what define your childhood, you know? And I was thinking about what those things were for me. And even like the idea that like things end and you don't even realize that they're ending when they're ending. You just have to like look back and say like that was it, like that was the moment, you know? Like we made a bed in the bed of your dad's pickup, like driving along the Snake River with my friends in the back of this pickup full of pillows, and that was the very last time we were ever going to do that, but we didn't know. And I made a list of all those things. Blockbuster and D.B. Cooper jumping out of an airplane, you know, Battle of Little Bighorn. These are all like massive moments in U.S. history, and I'm sure at the time it just felt like another thing. And I think that's what growing up is like. That's what the last summer's about.
In the last summer, we ain't never go back again. We ain't never go back again.
Production and instrumentation is very beautiful with dreamy background vocals, guitars, and piano, complemented by a groovy bass and drums and percussion. Next up, we have the title track of the album, although it's more of a 4-minute long interlude, if anything. We have very soft instrumentation that gradually crescendos throughout the whole song to an eventual climax at the end. All the while, Tyson's layered vocals are singing, "Someday I'll make it all up to you," over and over. We got some piano in there, we got some banjo in there, we got some what I think is electric guitar with some weird effects on it. But honestly, it sounds like what could be a heavily distorted Wurlitzer. Near the end of the song, Tyson's vocals are eventually joined by a children's choir as the melody rises. Although simple and repetitious, I'm a sucker for these kinds of tracks, and I think it makes for a very nice interlude. As we get into what is basically side B of the album, Fentanyl is a track that doesn't really stand out musically from the rest of the album, but the lyrical subject is a bit hard-hitting as Tyson sings about this person that he knew very well that obviously has had an ongoing battle with addiction. He seems to be very bitter about how this friend treated their relationship, but at the same time he expresses sympathy and desire for this friend to break their addictions and issues and find help. I want a second chance to talk. I want a second chance for you. Maybe you'd find Jesus or a 12-step way through. Musically, this track is a little sleepy and pretty simple, but that doesn't mean it's a bad track at all. Fire Escape kind of goes back to the territory of simple, carefree song. It's a really nice love song as we have Tyson singing about being with his significant other at a party, leaving the party via the fire escape, looking up at the night sky. He alludes to wanting to marry her but not having enough money for a ring, just wanting to hold her hand. It's not a bad little song. Definitely something to play in the car if you were driving around with your date late at night with the windows down. The next track, Miles, I couldn't personally get a whole lot out of it except the fact that it seems to be about touring life, which I like some of the pictures he creates and a lot of the imagery. The song seems almost like a diary he kept while touring, but in song form. Him writing out his thoughts of all the struggles of touring. I think my biggest gripe is how simple the chorus is. We've got miles to go. We've got miles. There's just not really a whole lot there, and I feel like he could have added more to it to more encapsulate the whole theme of what message he's trying to convey. Although I will say that I do quite like the lyrics of the final third verse. One more time with the load out past the tired brick walls. Everybody's smelling cigarettes and making goodnight calls. Thought about your table, I thought about your face, thinking maybe I could trade this and get those in its place. I Miss the Old Days too perfectly wraps up this whole album as it harkens back to themes of nostalgia, but on a deep level. This song is more of a companion, a shoulder to cry on for those who long for simpler times in such an age of anger and hate. As the title suggests, Tyson communicates that he also misses the days where things seemed simpler, even though that simplicity is more of an illusion as we buffet only the things we liked about the old days. Tyson actually gets a little political and a little sarcastic as he references singer and entertainer Sammy Davis Jr.'s White House performance cancellation from Kennedy caused by the controversy of his marriage to Swedish-born Mary Britt and anti-mixed marriage laws at the time. Tyson also references Tommy Smith's one-handed salute at the Olympics as a protest against racism in the 60s. Tyson follows this up with, well, I never felt the need to rise up, did you? Maybe everyone didn't miss the old days like we do. The whole song's theme is exemplified in the chorus, basically saying how we can get through these tough times as long as we carry each other in love.
Well, I don't like feeling angry either. Am I still my brother's keeper? Carry me, carry you.
Tyson finishes up the song repeating the line, I want better days to miss. The song has a nice build-up feel to it that starts as a simple guitar and voice and then ends as this soft anthem and a great finale to the record. overall thoughts on the album. There's hardly anything I don't like from Tyson Motsenbocker. I didn't feel like it was as strong as his last album, but that may be because of the subject matter of Letters to Lost Loves and what he was going through at the time that strengthened the emotion of that album. I am more of a fan of the songs that dealt with the deeper topics and themes more so than the more feel-goody type songs. There were some tracks that Tyson is obviously trying new things production-wise that I really enjoyed. I just wish it was a bit more consistent throughout the album. Overall, I really enjoyed this album. This album is very good. It's a very good album. So anyways, guys, if you think that you might be interested in a record like this and, maybe you're considering, I might want to just go ahead and impulse buy it without even previewing it, even though you kind of already did on this video. Well, look no further, my friend, because if you are considering purchasing this album, this is obviously not a paid promotion or anything. I'm not sponsored by Tyson Motsenbocker, but just in case that you were interested, you can go to the Amazon link that I have in the description below. You're still paying the same price that you would normally. It's just that through that link, I get a certain percentage of that, and it's just a nice way to support me and the channel, but you don't have to, so just calm down, all right? Anyways, guys, as of this recording, it is Sunday, and it's quite a beautiful day out, so I'm gonna go enjoy that day, and you also enjoy your day as well. No matter what day it is or how hot or cold it is, go enjoy it and eat some almonds.
Whoa, hey, that sure was a lot of fun. I sure learned a lot today, did you? Well, hey, if you want to learn more, be sure to check out these links that are going to appear on the screen right now. So go check those out. Go check out the Podwood Forecast podcast. Go check out my other videos. And be sure to subscribe so that you can become Clifford today, too. Bye.